takes the shot, right? He goes down. Was Deontay Wilder exposed if Luis Ortiz outboxed him over 12 rounds? Like, no. Did anybody expect him to, like, it's not exposed. Like, so, yeah.
I think maybe it was, like, the fact that it took him really, like, 12 rounds to really
hurt
Tyson Fury, right? Because even in the 9th round, I believe it was, Fury got up and boxed well the remaining remainder of that round.
That's true.
It's not like he was, like you said, like, really hurt. He was still in his senses.
He probably won that round.
Yeah, and usually when Wilder connects, he really hurts the guy and gets him out. Like,
so why did you end up having Wilder winning that fight before?
Before the fight happened? That's why. Because I basically didn't think that a person in the condition that Fury was in, coming back, that he would be able to avoid the power punch, because it's just the one. That's all it needs, right? Yeah. He wouldn't be able to avoid the power punch for 12 rounds. And he took it twice. He took it like a champion, like better than I've ever seen anyone take any shot, right? Like you look at it and you're like, okay, no, that's, I had an argument last week. Someone popped on, and I said, hey, if you want to argue that 9 out of 10 referees would have waved it the second he hit the deck, you might be right.
You might be right, yeah.
A lot of referees might have said, I think Jack Reese made the right decision, right? And I also think that you can prove to yourself through slowing down YouTube footage that he beats the count just fine. Yeah. It's not a long count, right?
Beat the count.
Yeah, he beat the count. You were
when
doing
he was against the ropes,
he
beat the count.
He beat the count.
And I actually ran into Jack.
What event was he just coming off of?
Okay, so this is the judge that scored the fight in favor of Wilder, which
115, 111.
115,
okay.
111.
If you guys look at that scorecard, it's pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
He's basically, I think he didn't give Tyson Fury a round until like round 5.
Exactly. And
okay. So so you found this judge the following week, right? At another or very soon afterwards.
Yeah. So this was HBO's
at the
last
HBO
show.
event, the Cecilia Brackhouse.
He did the judging for the last fight for
at
HBO.
the Home Depot Center.
The Cecilia Brackhouse fight, which you didn't need to be a remarkable judge to judge, but go ahead.
And the thing is, like, all the media were focused on Max Kellerman, Royce Jones Jr., and Jim Lampe. And I get it, because that's their last hoorah, so everybody's in that corner. But me and Chris, we had our own agenda. And I told Chris, like, Chris was, like, on deck, like, as far as, like, he's going to have the phone. He'll follow me. And then I just approach Alejandro Rochin. So he was there talking to some official from the Boxing Commission of California. And Chris was funny, too, because, like, he was already recording, but he was acting stupid because he was just going like this, right? So
I was just like,
because he didn't want the judge to know that we're already recording him.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay,
and
so you're doing some guerrilla tactics, guerrilla recording tactics.
And I'm just looking at my phone, like I know he's right there in my peripheries. And then as soon as he was gonna leave, I just told him, "Hey, Alejandro Rochin, can I ask you a couple questions?" And he's like, no, I don't do any. As soon as he said no, I just asked him the question because I already know he's going to leave. And I told him, how do you had it, Deontay Wilder 115, 111? And he just shook his hand and he just turned around and he just left.
He kind of smirked or smiled a little bit and like walked out.
He just walked out. Yeah. And everybody around that circle and the boxing, they were all looking at us like,
what are these guys doing?
Like, what just happened here?
Yeah.
And it's on YouTube, too, if you guys want to check it out. Against Rose Podcast channel.
He leaves. He just straight out leaves.
Yeah. Well, at this point, what can he say? Right? Yeah. What can he say? I've never heard of a judge coming back and being like, I rewatched it and maybe I made some mistakes.
Yeah, I mean.
But not even.
It doesn't happen ever.
I don't think they're allowed to, right?
But
probably not.
But what's crazy is that, like, usually when there's, like, a different, like, if there's a scorecard that's skeptical, right? Like, that's not right. You have people from the mainstream media saying, like, hey, why is that judge, hired or fired, this and that, and they still judge next week. So I have never seen anybody approach a judge about their business the next week. Hey, look, we're right here.
Do you guys explain this to me? Yeah, no, they're not going to explain it. I guarantee. Yeah. And they'll keep judging. And we've many times on here we talked about there's so much subjectivity in judging that a lot of times it's like, what do you
subject to your own opinion?
Yeah, there's so much subjectivity and opinion.
Yeah.
And Stephen McCowan says these judges and refs hide behind the commission with no comment. Yeah, I'm sure they have to.
Yeah, and we touched this on our podcast, and we were like, if you're gonna do a robbery, don't leave any fingerprints. Don't leave those scorecards too wide where you're just like, come on. If you're gonna do something like that, bring it a little bit closer. What 113 to something closer, but like 115, 111, that's a wide gap.
I'm telling you, the first 4 rounds, he gave them all to Wilder. It's like he's landing like 2-3 punches per round. Like, how can you score it for Deontay Wilder?
Yeah.
Those first 4 rounds.
There's a theory that I have about this, which is that judges and the commissions in general are not comfortable with handing out 10-10 rounds. Okay. Yeah. And you'll even hear boxing experts like Al Bernstein yesterday gave a 10-10 round on his unofficial scorecard. Mm-hmm. And he made a comment which was, I don't like to do this, but I had to give that round a 10-10.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that statement that I think resonates with the whole judging and commission community. I don't like to do this. I don't like to give 10-10 rounds. Right? So what that means is that anytime that you have a really difficult time telling who actually won a round, you're making someone up. Right? So you're looking at it and you're going, man, I really have a hard time. I'm not sure who won that round. I'm going to give it to so-and-so. And you do that for some reason that generally doesn't have anything to do with judging. It has to do with your personal preference, right? And there may be so many close rounds in a fight because the fight may continue in that same vein round after round after round where you're like, that one was really hard to judge. So I'm going to give it to this guy. I'm going to give it. You give it to the same guy round after round after round. The next thing you know, he has a 119 scorecard. That's what happens, right? You're giving it to the same guy in very
Soto,
close
right?
rounds.
Humberto Soto against Brandon Rios.
It is the same thing. You're looking at some rounds and going, this is really, and it is a difficult task. I'm not going to say it's easy. When you look at some fights and you go, wow, that guy threw a lot of punches and that guy landed a few clean ones. Like, this is the Triple G Canelo conversation. Yeah, how many Triple G jabs equals a Canelo hook?
Yeah.
Is it 10? Is it 15? Is there some number, right? Like, and you don't know. So what happens is you look and you go, I'm having a hard time with that one because this guy did a lot of punching and that guy landed a lot of clean, effective punches. So I'm not sure what to do. So I'm going to pick the one that I prefer. Yeah. And the next thing that happens is your scorecard is a ridiculous margin. So everybody else sees a close fight, but your scorecard says it's completely distant, that someone lost every round, right? Yeah. So that tends to be what happens. And I think a lot of times because judges are afraid to go, I don't know who won that round. Yeah. Which I'll say that all the time. I have no idea who won that round. I'll look at rounds and go, I don't know who won that round.
Yeah. On our podcast, we do talk about that, and we are not afraid to give like 10-10 rounds.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, for the Triple G Canelo, like there was a few rounds I was like, they were too close, man. Like there's other rounds where you can easily see who, but like with those close rounds, you just got to give 10-10 because you don't want to give a round where it wasn't really earned or where one of the fighters really earned another round. And so
it's kind of unfair to make one guy lose the round and make the other guy win the round when both of them really pretty much were very even. So at that point it's like, how do you choose who won it? I mean, and I have a problem with that too. Like, nobody scores them 10-10, which I don't know why. It's just,
I think it's frowned upon. I really think it's frowned upon. But I'm going to ask Stephen McCowan, who just told me that he's a judge. I can't believe I've been sending you T-shirts and stuff like that, and I never knew that you were a judge, bro. What's up with that?
But even
chime in more, bro.
Even with a 10-10, also a 10-8, because we saw that with Lopez and Thurman. All three judges had a 10-8 in the 7th round for Lopez. Yeah, that's the definition of a 10-8 round right there.
Yeah. So, Steven, let me know if I'm making that up, man. That's my theory, though. My theory is that people don't want to hand out 10 rounds.
I agree.
Yeah. But you know what? It's also interesting that you mentioned that because I learned that during doing the ringside commentary last time Leo Santa Cruz joined us on the table. And there was one specific punch where I couldn't tell if it landed cleanly or not. I thought the guy just stumbled back. And I mentioned it during the broadcast, and Leo, who was sitting 2 feet to my left, was like, no, that landed clean, and I think he's hurt, right? So when I went back home and watched it, I saw there was a clean punch, but from my angle, I couldn't see that, right? So I think it depends too. Yeah. Because there's 3 judges, right? And they're all on different sides. So I think that depends to what side of the ring you're on.
But I give you a better one. When we did the Abraham Lopez fight, we were commenting that all 3 of us consensus we had Lopez winning it.
Okay.
And then what happens, Chris?
Yeah, there's the judge. The scoring is completely off.
Yeah, or completely different than what your expectation was, right?
Yeah, and something we do on the commentary wise, we do call judges out, and we started doing this out early. If there's like a call that we're just not, that's clearly not what it seems, we do call them out. And and something that we started seeing is like they are listening.
They are
listening.
We literally have a judge next to us.
Right next to us. Yeah.
next to the commentary table. So I'm not sure if they can hear us or not, but
I think they do.
I'm sure they do.
We had this last time because me and Chris, you weren't there, Gio, and there was a guy that was actually like talking to us, like giving us his own opinion about how he scored it in that fight. And usually, even because you were at the Omar Figueroa fight in Molina.
Yeah.
How long did it took him for them?
It took him a very long time.
It took him like forever.
So the gentleman who was sitting next to me commented on how long it took, and I said perhaps it's a commercial break because this was one that was televised on Fox. So I said perhaps this is a commercial break, and I walked up to see the big screen to see what they were showing on the big screen, and it did not appear to be a commercial break. It looked like they were just taking a long time to do it. So Steve McCowan, thanks. He says yes. Most, if not all, pro judges come up through the amateur system, and in the amateurs, you are not allowed to give even rounds. So, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. Yeah, that is interesting to know.
It makes a little bit more sense just because in the amateur ranks there's less rounds, so it's like you really have to give one to the other. I see why that happens.
I think at some point they would realize they're not judging amateurs anymore. So
yeah,
it looks like it, right, Alejandro?
Yeah, but back to the story, like we do call out some of these judges, and right away we noticed like the next fights that we covered, the judges started getting better. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, it did. Like
he's like, I'm taking credit for that.
Well, I'll tell you
noticed
what,
it. Not every single one, but like we did start noticing. Okay,
they certainly can hear you because when you look, for instance, even on television, you can find examples of Floyd Mayweather and other fighters actually responding to people in the crowd, to the judges, to people at the commentary table. Like there are examples of Al Bernstein saying something at the commentary table. I think, for instance, in the Berto fight, and he turns and responds to it.
Yeah.
And then goes and continues with the fight.
And they're much bigger.
So you're like looking, you're like, oh man, it just. And I'm sure not all fighters have that kind of heightened sense to understand every single thing that's happening, but certainly some people can. You just took the ref test and was shocked as well. You just took the ref test, Ethan. I hope you passed, man.
I'm gonna apply.
I hope to see you on some future broadcasts or something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be dope.
We'll criticize him too.
Yeah.
And giving no passes.
Somehow we were talking about Chris Eubank and James DeGale, and we started with the heavyweights. That's why, and then we went down the heavyweight track and stuff like that. So Chris Eubank and James DeGale. So my favorite part of that fight is when Chris Eubank hit him with the attitude adjustment.
Yeah, I already knew you were gonna say that. That spine buster.
Spine buster.
He gave him the John Cena attitude adjustment. Picked him up with that fireman's carry.
No, there was
Brock Lesnar.
There was that